What's going on, everyone? We're getting ready for our picks for NFL Week 7. We're coming off a heartbreaking loss with the Bills on that fourth down stuff against the Titans. We're riding low on that, but the show must go on. We got to give you guys more winners. So here we are this week, back at it again. Before we get into our picks, we'll talk about the daily agenda that we always do. First, Kyle, take it away.
Yeah, so as always, we got our partnership with Prize Picks. Promo codes on the left. It's Pro Picks. They'll match your first deposit of up to $100. And basically, how it works is you're betting or you're making entries on player props. And the special thing about this website is you could do it for college sports, which FanDuel and DraftKings does not offer. Flex play, built-in promo. You get one of your legs wrong, you still get a little bit money back. 3-leg, 4-leg, 5-leg parlay plus. If you get one entry wrong, you're still going to make some money actually. And then the power play is your traditional parlay. And then once again, promo code ProPicks on the left.
And I just want to clarify too, when you say that like FanDuel and DraftKings don't have the college bets, they don't have those college props, especially not the in-depth props that PrizePicks has. So that's the real advantage there too. And then even more importantly, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Profit of Picks. At this point, if you're taking our bets and you're not following us on Twitter, you're basically just leaving money on the table. We said in our last video, where you're going to wait to see about Christian McCaffrey. If you're going to bet the Panthers, he was out. So were the Panthers on our card. We swapped that for the Jaguars +3. We even thought they were going to win the game, which they did. Unfortunately, we didn't bet the money line. But it's a 2-unit swing right there. If you're not following us on Twitter, you might have bet the Panthers. You wanted to bet the Jaguars with our guidance. And so it's definitely important to be following us again at Profit of Picks on Twitter.
Yeah. Also, our two other plays that we added to Twitter, we had Fournette over rushing and receiving yards on Thursday night game. Yep. That also hit. And then I also added Dallas -4, and we got really lucky.
That was about as lucky as you can get, but a win's a win. And adding units is adding units, so we don't care.
So that's a potential 4-unit swing if you're not following the Twitter.
And that's just this week alone. And hopefully we keep adding units, especially with our live bets like that. So definitely follow us. Let's get into our picks. We didn't pick the Panthers last week. Christian McCaffrey was out. He's back this week. Sleemer loves Stephon Gilmore. He's eligible this week.
Stephon Gilmore is finally back. Week 7. He's at home, back in Carolina, where he's from.
Well, they're in New York this time, but he's playing with his hometown team. I mean, two huge playmakers on both sides of the ball for this Carolina team. They competed with the Vikings, especially in the second half. They didn't look too great at the beginning, but this is a very competent football team, slightly above average, I'd say, playing a below average football team, missing Saquon Barkley, the starting running back, and Kenny Golladay. They're probably the best receiver. Daniel Jones is always a little bit beat up. He runs the ball too much for a quarterback of his athleticism to be always fully healthy. And we're just not a huge believer in this Giants offense anyways. It does look like you see the Panthers are at -3 at -102. It looks like you might be able to get them at 2.5, which I love even more because you never know when team's going to win by a field goal. But I think this team coming out 3 straight losses, you were talking about this too, kind of due for a turnaround game against a pretty easy non-divisional opponent. I really like them here. I know you do too. I'll let you say what you have to about the Panthers.
Yeah, so like Ian mentioned, coming off 3 straight losses now, we had them on the over wins for the season. We definitely think they're going to turn it around. I think the biggest thing here is they got Stephon Gilmore playing. That's a lockdown corner, shut down one full side of the field. But
CJ Henderson on the other side helps a lot too. They have an incredible pass rush and a great run defense too. It's a really complete defense against an incompetent offense in the Giants.
Yeah. Also, just from watching the Panthers play last week, they dropped just about every pass that they could drop. They caught some very timely ones at the end, but their receivers are dropping everything. I think that's, even if they can't fully correct it, they're not going to be able to drop as many passes as they did the previous week. That's fairly fixable compared to just getting dominated on, say, your run defense. I fully expect these receivers to start catching the ball a little more, helping Sam Darnold out. And
I mean, you get a great receiver with McCaffrey too. Yeah. I just think having him on the field makes the defense just change their whole game plan on Sunday. It's not like, okay, we're going to let Chuba Hubbard run a little bit, but we're going to take away like DJ Moore. You can't do that anymore. You can't let McCaffrey run between the tackles, outside the tackles, catch the ball in open space. You got to just try to shut this guy down. If you can't, you're going to lose. And even if you do, they have enough weapons and deep threats like with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore that they can make enough happen. as long as Sam Darnold's playing competent football, which isn't always a given. You saw it in the beginning of the year. He's kind of faded in the second half of this season so far.
I think
we'll
McCaffrey's huge for Darnold's success, though.
I do too.
Because he gets in trouble. He throws passes that he really shouldn't. So just having that safety valve and dumping it off to McCaffrey is so essential to his game. You're getting potentially their best offensive player back, and who knows how polished Gilmore's going to be playing his first game this year. But
he said out 2019, so he's definitely going to be a little bit rusty, but I still don't care. He's still a top cornerback in this league, regardless. Exactly. But we like this game a lot. We talked enough about it. We'll go to the next one. I like two of these games. As you know, we've been doing a lot of teasers, so I'm going to keep that going. Packers are -9 against the football team. I don't love the -9. I would prefer Washington football team +9, but we're not betting either one of those. We're going to take the -9, tease it with the Ravens -6.5. For the Packers game, I just think this Washington football team, especially in the secondary, is really poor. But that's been this all year. What's a big revelation now to me too is how poor their offense is doing too. They play the Chiefs. They're only able to put up 13 points against the Chiefs, who are the worst defense in football, and they forced 3 turnovers, picking off Mahomes twice. That's not even a thing that the Washington football team's forced. It was just errors by Mahomes. The Chiefs were giving the football team the ball, begging them to score in their crappy defense, and they still couldn't do it. I would expect Rodgers to dismantle the secondary as long as his O-line can give him enough time. And that's what I'm worried about against the always threatening Washington football defense. So I'm going to tease that one down. And the Ravens game we like a lot too. We were in love with Lamar Jackson. Did you talk about what you like about the Ravens?
Yeah. Just to comment real quick on the Packers. That game reminds me so much of the Bears-Packers matchup. Packers won by 10. I think the Washington football team's extremely similar to the Bears. This one's at Lambeau. Yeah. I think the Packers cover the -3.
Yeah, I agree. Solid front seven, poor secondary, subpar offense. Quarterback doesn't throw the ball. Kind of mobile. Yeah, I agree. That's a good comparison.
But yeah, so then that brings us to the Ravens. We've faded them a couple times this year and paid for it. Yeah. And after watching those games, I will never bet against Lamar Jackson again. I will just stay away from those games if that's how I'm leaning. But Lamar can turn a sack into a 20-yard gain every single play if he wants. That defense also looked elite last week, which was kind of came out of nowhere, but they completely shut down Herbert in the Chargers offense, who I thought was one of the most dynamic in the league. The Bengals, on the other hand, I think they looked a little better than they really are against the Lions. I think this line's fairly accurate, and that's obviously why we're going to tease it. But I just don't think the Bengals play a consistent enough game to stay in it and win on the road in Baltimore.
Yeah, there's just no solving Lamar Jackson. I think that's clear by now. I thought maybe this would be the year, if any, where teams would kind of pick up on him and try to figure out how to stop him. You just can't do it. When the guy is that elusive, you can do everything right on defense, cover every receiver, penetrate the pocket, and get Lamar Jackson off his spot. And it doesn't matter. He's still going to either find a deep guy downfield or run for 20 yards. This guy just makes things happen, similar to what Kyler Murray is doing this year for the Cardinals. It just seems like no matter what's going to happen, you want the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands. And for me right now, he's the MVP of the season, not Kyler Murray. I just don't understand how this guy does it, and I just can't wait to keep watching him play. You're going to tease us down. The Ravens just got to win this game. So I like that. And the Packers just got to win by 3 at home. Usually pretty solid there at Lambeau. Here's another teaser that I like. Again, this one's at -120. This is a 3-team teaser, giving each team 10 points. The one that I'd say I'm most concerned with here is the Patriots, who are +3 against the Jets. Only reason why divisional game with the Jets coming off a bye week makes it a little scary. But as I said in my Survivor video, there's 3 things that are certain in life. It is death, taxes, and Bill Belichick beating the Jets. So even though it's probably my most concerned pick, I'm not too bad about that. And then this Rams-Detroit game and the Bucs-Bears games, very similar in my mind. 2 really good teams in the NFC at home against 2 pretty incompetent teams, especially on offense. I don't expect the Bears or the Lions to be putting up much more than 10 to 13 points. It's kind of what you saw this last week against much inferior defenses than what the Rams and Bucs offer. Especially with the Lions, their defense is so bad that the Rams should win this game. They probably are going to cover that 14.5 anyways, but I'm going to keep it at 4.5, make it safe. The Bucs too. Justin Fields hasn't been able to throw the ball over 200 yards a game, any game that he's played. the Bucs secondary is so decimated, but I really don't think it matters because the Bears have struggled so much on offense in the passing game. The Bears, what they really want to do is run the ball, and that's the one thing no team's able to do against the Bucs. So if they make Justin Fields throw the ball all game and get after him with the pass rush, I think it could be similar to what you saw against the Bears against the Browns. If Todd Bowles can dial something up in that defense with the Buccaneers too.
Yeah, I'm on the same page actually. I think the Rams can cover the minus 14.5, but why not tease it down? And then for the Bears, same thought process. The Bears are a run heavy offense, not really able to pass it, and that's the Bucs one defense. So this is a great matchup for them. They're also coming off a longer week after playing on Thursday, and for all those reasons, the Jets is the game I'm most worried about. But it's the Mac Jones,
He's
Zach
looking
Wilson
great.
matchup.
Mac Jones is looking great. His last two games, especially against the Cowboys. Oh my God, he's looking incredible. And every time the Patriots get down in the win column, I feel like there's just no way Bill Belichick's going to keep letting them lose, especially against the Jets, who he's just had a vendetta against his entire career, which I love, how he just refuses to lose against these guys. Especially you saw what the Patriots defense and what Bill Belichick did against Zach Wilson that first time they played. He had like 5 completions and like 4 picks. So he had a really tough time, Zach Wilson, figuring that stuff out. He's definitely not going to be that bad. I have a really hard time believing that, but I just think that the Patriots take care of business. At the very least, they lose on a last-second field goal. I think the +3, saves us there.
Yeah, 10-point teaser. You just pick your.
It always looks safe. That's the problem. It always looks good, the 10-point teaser. But we'll see what happens. I like this one too. But that's all we got for us. Oh no, we got one more. I forgot about this one. This is a late entry for me. I got the 49ers -3.5 and -105 too. I like this one. They're coming off a bye week. Again, they're in a competitive division where you got to keep winning games to stay competitive. I've been saying that all year about all these teams in the NFC West. The Colts are coming off a really big win against a really crappy Texans teams. I think that's kind of inflating this line towards the Colts' favor. I don't think they normally should be your 3.5-point favorites. I like the Niners being at home off a bye week with Kyle Shanahan's brain, and they're kind of starting to unleash Trey Lance a little bit. I'd like to see what they can do. This team's also been the 49ers kind of got the injury bug, so I think the 2 weeks of kind of non-contact will help their players get healthy and play at max performance. What do you think about this game, though, Kyle?
Just as far as matchup wise, I think this one's similar to what we mentioned about the Bears Bucs game. You got the Colts who are going to want to run it a ton with Jonathan Taylor. You can't really trust Carson Wentz yet, and that Niners front seven's like they're definite strength. You got Bosa, you got Warner up there.
Yeah.
And I just think coming off the bye with a slight matchup edge, I think you take the Niners here -3.5. Maybe wait till you get the -3. I don't know if it's going to happen. I agree with that.
Yeah, you can see at -105, it's leaning towards people are leaning towards the Colts a little bit at -115. I'd be much more confident betting -3 here. If they can contain Jonathan Taylor and the Colts run game, I think they handle this easily. But that's a big if. They got a strong O-line, and Jonathan Taylor is one of the best. So I just think it's almost like a must-win game for the 49ers. I don't think the Colts are as good as they seemed last week. This is night game too in the old Levi Stadium. I don't know what it is now. I mean, it is Levi. Candlestick. It used to be Candlestick. It's like that. Yeah. Either way, night game in San Fran. I like the home team there with the bye week. I think all the signs point there if they can handle Jonathan Taylor.
Shanahan was Woj's pick for Coach of the Year as well. He's coming off a bye. You got to think they get the win.
Yeah. So that's definitely leading into it. But we'll take it to our card. Like I said, we love the Panthers here at -3. This is almost going to -2. So I guess people like the Giants here, but with McCaffrey and Gilmore coming back, this is going to be a Panthers team that we haven't seen in a while. The Panthers haven't lost a game when McCaffrey's played this year. We're all judging the last 3 weeks for the last 3 losses, but that's not the Panthers team that's showing up to New York this week.
It was the Texans game he got hurt, right?
Yeah.
There was a noticeable difference in them being able to move the ball down the field without McCaffrey, because the offense is built around him.
It's all about McCaffrey in that offense, whether it's giving him the ball or disguising plays with him to get other guys open. It all goes through him. And then we really like that Packers Ravens tease. I honestly, you're probably going to see the Ravens on our card a lot more, because anytime we can get them just to win a game this year, we're probably going to take them in a teaser. And the Packers too, in Lambeau, playing a really inferior defense of the Washington football team. I love that, just to win the game by 3 points. This Packers, and especially Aaron Rodgers, really seem to be clicking right now. You'd love to see that like fire in Aaron Rodgers, and when he gets that fire, it's really tough to beat him, especially when you're playing the Washington football team, who offensively, especially at quarterback, doesn't really have it going, and that defense is still nowhere to be found all year. So I like that a lot. If you're going to take it in 2 picks, take the lock. Obviously, we got a heartbreak this last week with the Bills, but even still, we're probably hitting at least an 80% clip of our locks on the year. And then we really like the Panthers. We debated that being our lock this week too. We put 2 units in each of them, but we're giving the teaser. We're designating that with a lock, but both of them we really, really like.
Yeah, those are 2 plays you guys should definitely take away from this card if you're taking anything. And like we mentioned earlier, you're definitely going to follow the Twitter. My only official play on this card is the Panthers. Last week, I added 3 plays that all hit. So I'm going to add a few more this week. You're going to want to see those. And if you haven't already, remember to like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you guys are thinking.